morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne, and my disembodied hands friend, Spooky Quindy, along with her undead servitors, Justin and John. How are you all? Yes, this is the Halloween intro. Oh my gosh. Woof. I like the Anne clan, I think. Anne clan works. Yes, Spooky, you new code. Hey, it's good to see you. Thank you for the resub. 35 months. One more month to the song. You get sung at in a month. That may be a bonus or a detriment. I'm not sure, depending on your opinion. Yay. Yeah, Mondays. They're Monday, all right. Yeah. Yes, so spooky. All right. Actually, Quindy, I need to take a day off this week to do like Social Security card stuff and all that kind of thing for post-marriage. What day is the best day for me to take off, do you think? I've tried to fit it into the schedule, but I'm rushing to finish the Patreon by the end of the month too, and I'm like, maybe I just need to take a morning stream off and go. Because I like looked at mailing in the Social Security application, but it's like kind of, I have questions. Let's just say that. Does the Anne clan get an official tartan? It's got to be purple and gold. You guys are gonna have to fan that one. You're gonna fan fund that one. You know, all those fan products. We're gonna do Mousling. Mousling. It's lighting day. Let's do the green. Naga and leaf bud. I have leaf bud. I have the Naga around here somewhere. Maybe that's it. Yeah, that's it. So we're mixing these two greens. Oh, Nomad Zeke on the 38 months. Insane. Thank you very much. Thanks for the resub. Yeah, well, let's plan out. Let me look at my day. Let me look at my schedule here. I hate to take another day off, but it's like, it's just like really, it's been annoying trying to figure out when I can do it. All right, so let's say, what have I got? Yeah, let's do Thursday. Can we do Thursday? Thursday. That way I can go right away in the morning. So let's take Thursday off. And I'll go apply for my name change. And hopefully on Thursday, like I expect them to be busy on like Mondays and Tuesdays and Fridays. Hopefully Thursday is like late enough in the week without being the end of the week that it won't be quite as long a wait. Let's do Thursday. All right. Good deal. Thursday it is. Yay, that's a load off me. Now I can just concentrate and focus on my show and my Patreon. I like that. I was like, all too often, I think we all do this, all too often I try to cram too much in. Like, I'm just like, I can do everything. I can do all my normal work. Plus, I can fit in another thing that might take as long as an hour and a half or 2 hours. And it's like, no, it just stresses me out. So today I decided to be like, you know, like logical and actually take a day off for official business. Yay. There we go. Works for Thoramel, so it must be okay. Well, there we go. See, everybody else is going to be like not around Thursday, so. Yeah, exactly. And it's just so much easier because with the puppy is used to being, you know, with having me away or at least in this room later, you know, in the morning. And so it makes sense to leave her alone at a time that she's normally used to being alone. Yeah, because otherwise it was just going to be stressful because it was going to take me away from finishing the stuff I need to do for my Patreon, which Quindy was just awesome and linked in chat. So, hey, patreon.com/paintingbig. And I have on my docket this month. It's been just like, my schedule has imploded over the last 2 months. Let's just put it that way. But I still have two fundamentals of mini painting videos to catch up on for my YouTube. So I need to do that as well. So I'm going to do a little bit of a bigger batch of this color. What we originally did was a 50-50 mix of Naga and Leaf Bud. I wanted a very yellowy green, but I wanted a little bit darker, so I figured mixing these would give me a good result. And then I dulled them down, if you recall, because this is you can tell how muted it is. So I'm going to make my local color, i.e. the color that this actually is, but then I'm going to mix in the light color. Remember, that's what we're doing? So light colors, candlelight with a touch of explosion. That sounds kind of fun. Candlelight with a touch of explosion. Where is my explosion orange? Explosion orange, where are you? There you are. Awesome. But yeah, so cool. So we will not be on Thursday then. That gives you guys a few days of fun, and then I can take off and scamper and do my silly application. It is only barely past breakfast time here. So it's candlelight plus explosion, and then I believe I added, usually I add a little bit of white. Because for light to look like light, it has to be lighter than everything else. So just like right now, you see that this is actually lighter than even the white, what his shirt will be. Although it'll end up being yellow. So let us get some light color, and I'll also make a larger batch of that, just so I have enough to mix into stuff. Because I know that I'm going to be mixing this light color into other colors, so I might as well make a bigger batch right off the bat. It's not really romantic to me, but it sounds kind of fun. Could be fun. Could be fun. I'm excited. I've committed to my plan for NaNoWriMo. I have, I'm still working on edits on book 2, and actually I had to go back and do some changes on book 1 in line with my last editor's suggestions, because as long as you consult editors, your work is never done as a writer. You always have changes you can make. But I decided I'm going to add just a couple drops of white to this explosion candlelight mix. So now, here, it's actually kind of pretty. Look, these are my mixes today. Obviously, I'm having fun. So it's 3 drops of leaf bud with 3 drops of naga, and then it's 3 drops of candlelight with some little fiery orange bits around the outside, also 3 drops, and then 2 drops of pure white. I would not want to use a white other than pure white ever for a lighting effect. You always want to be popping, again, remember, it needs to be lighter than everything else, and the lightest color we have is pure white, so makes sense. We're making sense today, and it's Monday. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. But yeah, so I'm excited. I decided that I was going to go ahead and write my rough draft of book 3. Even though I still have editing work to do on the other things, but editing work is such a slog, it's not really fun. Like, it can be a bit of fun, just because if you can call fun, like, just the happy, satisfied feeling you get from making something better. But it's not the same thing. And so I did decide that I was going to go ahead and write book 3. Even though this gives me an even bigger editing, like, lump. But you know what? The only way I'm going to get to be a better writer is by writing more books. So that's what I've decided. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. Because book 3 is a totally new story. Book 1 and book 2 go together. They're like two, it's a duology. So they finish, book 1 starts the story, book 2 finishes it. But after that, it's more like each book is a contained story, at least as far as I know. Okay, so here's a question for you guys who read, if you read fantasy series, which of course is what I'm writing. Here's a question. Do you like, in your series, do you like one long series more? Or do you prefer when the writer does series of trilogies? I'm trying to think of, there's a very well-known young adult fantasy writer who does this. Does like series of trilogies set in the same world with different characters, right? So which do you prefer? Like, do you have a preference as a reader? If you have time, tell me what you think. I'm curious because I was thinking about this, and I tend to like long series, but I know not everybody's me. And that's not always true, right? Because Anne McCaffrey, I definitely like series of trilogies with her Dragon Riders of Pern and then her Harper Hall. Yeah, break things up. Yeah, from more perspectives. Yeah, yeah, and of course, yeah, Mercedes Lackey, also famous for doing it. A lot of very well-known fantasy writers and science fiction writers do it that way. And I hadn't thought of doing it that way. Yeah, right. So yeah, okay, so you guys seem to really like series of trilogies. That's very interesting. Five book trilogies, right? Yeah, when you've got, it is, right? Because you guys are right. Like, the thing is, you have to be sustaining the story in a logical arc. Like, Ilona Andrews, they definitely they had an arc for the Kate Daniels books, right? But now they're doing more trilogies, right? With some of their other stuff, like I love the Innkeeper stuff, but now that's moved to more to serials. And then the what's the one? The crap. It's the legacy one, the hidden legacy ones, which are the kind of the superhero world. I love those, and they're in trilogies, with each character having a trilogy. Okay, so we've got some people who like. I think though that's key, right? If you're going to have a long series, it seems like people like it better if it's like actually like if you can see the arc and it has a satisfying conclusion. There are incidents of longer series that don't do that. And originally, when I was thinking about my books, I was looking at Redwall, which of course is each book a different character, all set within the same world. So you have familiar things that kind of touchstones that you can that you come back to, right? Like the Abbey and the Hares and the Badger Kings and stuff like that, or Badger Lords. Yeah, right. Yeah, I need to like this story. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people are like that too. I was just curious if you guys like had what your thoughts were on that. Because I can take my world any of those ways. Because there's nothing that says, and there are writers that have done this too, there's nothing that says that each of your trilogies can't advance a greater story arc, right? So you can still have a greater story arc, but still have a contained series arc. Right, yeah, oh yeah, there's definitely would be spin-off books, right, yeah. And many authors do it, just because when you spend that much time world building, I think, you just continue to get stories for the world. And this is not true of everybody. Some writers just, once they're done, they're done. They're done, they move on, they don't want to touch back to the world. Ah, there we go. Thormel, that's a really good breakdown. That's a really good point. Long series if the stories focus on... And that, you know what? If we did an analysis, I wonder if we would find that most long series do focus on... I mean, obviously there's like a suite of characters in Robert Jordan, but it's really Rand's story, right? Like, it's Rand and Matt and Perrin, yeah, but Matt and Perrin are supporting characters, right? And then some of the female characters have good arcs. But Discworld is more like Redwall, I think, Pendrake. So it's what we call serial novels in a series. So each story still set in the Discworld, but different characters, right? But you still have familiar touchstones, like, various characters make cameos, death, stuff like that. So I would think that Discworld and Redwall are very similar in that way. Yeah, and also the thing about a 10-book series is it takes a while to write, right? And a lot of people are wary of a series that may not end. Rightfully so. So, given that, it's also a big oomph. It requires a lot of oomph from the writer, right? By the way, I'm mixing. I had way too much yellow and orange in here, and my white wasn't really making an impact. So I decided to move. If you do that, but you look at this and you're like, I want it lighter, I want a lighter version, just take a little bit and move it. When you've only got a little bit of this color, it's going to be far easier to shift it with white. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you can still have the yay more books if you have if you've got a number of trilogies. But yeah, it requires a lot more from the writer to get to the end of a 10-book or more series, right? I mean, Ilona Andrews still did some spin-off novels from their Kate Daniels series. So it's not like you can't go back to it once you've done your long series. So there's really, yeah, it's just, I think you're right. It's how you want to break it up and the kind of stories you want to tell, and also probably the scope of your story. Oh, even Brandon. I mean, let's face it. I mean, he writes very fast, but he's never really talked about his editing speed. I suspect he slows down in the edit, but I could be wrong on that. And I say that just because he's expressed, a struggle with finding time for editing and figuring out how to break up his day for that. So, which I get as a writer who is editing and trying to write at the same time. All right, so we are going to kind of mix up and see what kind of color we get when we're mixing these guys together. And then I'm actually going to mix that and that, the really pale one. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I do. I do feel that. And that's why I was kind of wondering. Because, yeah. Because there is an appeal. As a writer, there is also an appeal to just writing some trilogies and not a big, long thingamahoozah. Because you can have a nice stopping point at any time you're past the third book of a trilogy. You're never on the hook for more than 3 books. How about that? All right, so that makes that kind of color. Ugh, and my eyes are tearing something wicked today. Like there is so much, there's allergens in the air. Ugh, try painting with blurry eyeballs. Ugh, it's bad. Oh, I reread stuff all the time. I don't, weirdly, I seldom reread sci-fi and fantasy, but it happens. And I'm more likely to reread them when it's been quite a long time since I last looked at them. So let's get in focus. Focus would be nice. There. All right, so we have to kind of look at our light source, and this is really the only place that the firelight is coming down. I'm going to use this really warmer green color that I mixed up, this one right here. And I'm not really going to use my local color at all, because wherever it is, it's being touched by this light. By the way, I showed this model to David over the weekend, and he strongly suggested a secondary light source on it. So we may do a secondary kind of cooler light source coming on the rest of the model. So I'm going to bring up a bit of, I'm going to actually thin this a little bit. Remember when you highlight a color with yellow, you do still need to thin it quite a bit, even though you think of yellow as being a weak color, right? Not having much coverage. Yeah, that's what I like about the Kindle too, Carnico. Oh yeah, Gibson, it's totally true that like you have a weak spot for something, you know, that's like me in Overwatch. Because I discovered Overwatch when I was like recovering from surgery, and it like really saved me, took me away from the worries and all that. All right, and then a little bit. Now, how far we go up with this color, how far we go up toward the actual light color, depends on 2 things. It depends on whether the surface is shiny, and it depends on the strength of the light source. So since we're not being super strong with this yet, I'm going to go up very cautiously. Need to turn my thing. Now you can see that we can see the skirt right past the torch. So there's the skirt down there. You can see that the torch would hit it up to about that point, right under, it disappears under the belt buckle. So I could catch the outer edge of this one, but not much more. So I'm going to grab some of this green. And I'm going to bring it up a little bit. Now, the other thing we could do is glaze. And slowly bring it up that way. But I think I want to bring it up more solidly here. I'm going to leave a little bit of that shadow color up near the top, near the belt, but not a lot. Shadow Raven with a non sequitur. Yeah, I reread mystery series. Like I just last year I reread all of the Agatha Christie's, or I guess 2 years ago during the pandemic, reread all the Miss Marple and Hercule Poirot books. But yeah, there are some series I keep going back to. C.J. Cherryh, I go back to her books every once in a while when it's been a while since I've read them. I love her Chenner series, her space operas. So we're bringing that up then. It's going to be brighter and yellower. I may take my yellow and make a glaze with it. If I really want to warm up this green, I'll take this color and create just a spot glaze, not even mix up a whole thing of it. Just get it to that point. And I can paint that over these guys to really make them yellowier. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. Bye, Thormil. Oh my gosh. I don't know, 12 or 15, I want to say. It's something. There's a lot, but of course they're short novels. They're very short. Although these days it seems like a lot of independent writers, anyway, are writing like 60,000 word books. Which sometimes disappoints me because I'm a really fast reader. And that it's like not a long, it's a little bit short for me. All right, so a little bit along the bottom of this one. And that'll be nice because it kind of allows the light to fade out a bit. There's fewer in the Miss Marple series, I remember that. Might be more in the Poirot series, I just don't remember. Alrighty. And if you need it to go a little bit greener, then you can glaze with your original base local color. But when the model's in the dark, I don't ever like really use that pure green that I made. Because the light that's hitting it is colored, and so it's going to affect it. Whereas daylight is, you know, whiter. So like when we paint our models as if they're outdoors, we can just have our white, slightly warmer highlights, and we can see the real, you know, we can see the colors of things a little easier. But with this light source being colored, definitely colored, it is going to make other colors look different. And picking up a little bit of a yellow highlight on the edges here helps to convey that lighting. Also suggest that these might be a little shinier. These little leather flaps might be a little bit shinier than the cloth. Alrighty, let's get this leather. What do I want to use for this leather? Something warm. I think I want to use Harvest. I don't think I kept a record. I think I just used walnut for the... There's Harvest Brown. This is a good brown to pick because it is so orangey already that when I mix it with my highlight color, it's going to be really nice. Oh yeah, because those westerns are really short, right? 50,000 words. Sort of, yeah. But yeah, I try to make myself slow down a little bit, but if I'm really enjoying a book, I will speed read it. When Dance with Dragons came out, George R. R. Martin, I actually read that in one evening. I pretty much just speed read the whole thing. I just remember I started it in like I think the afternoon, and like I didn't stop reading until I was done with it at like 11. And that was not a small book. I think I remembered to eat something at some point, but I kept reading it while I was eating. Alrighty, let's see here. Let's get a little bit of this out. And I'm grabbing just a couple drops of the Harvest. And then I'm going to mix a little bit. And I may do a little bit of this. Yeah, I may mix. Where's my walnuts? Walnut, where did I put you? There it is. May mix a little walnut into this. Now I make myself stop well before bed because if I, yeah, otherwise, Shadow Raven, I don't sleep well. Because my brain is too active and I won't fall asleep. So yeah, I don't let myself, I make myself stop about a half hour before bed now. Much better. Need my pokey tool here. Ah! My walnut is having conniptions. Come on, walnut. I'll have to use black and brown if you keep this up. Which I probably should use anyway, to be honest. Because walnut has so much black in it. Yeah, I used to do that when I was a kid, but I don't let myself stay up that late or do. I can't do an all-nighter. It wrecks me. Absolutely wrecks me. Sleep is kind of priority one in my life right now. Because I've learned that if I want the energy to do the things I really want to do throughout the day and need to do, I've got to get good sleep and lots of it. So I have learned in my old age, haha, to prioritize sleep. And I would say that sleep really is my #1 priority. There we go. So this is what we'll start with. So since I started with walnut, I want to bring it up gradually. I decided I didn't want to go straight up to harvest. I want to bring in some warm tones naturally. So instead, this is the color. So I mixed, I had a couple of big drops of harvest brown, and I mixed one drop, a short drop, I would say, of black and brown into it. Black and brown, I just put out a PDF yesterday, haha, on my Patreon. Patreon.com/paintingbig. We're talking about the neutral browns and telling you that black and brown is actually a very good mixer for darkening other browns, as is charred brown from HD, sorry, Bones, not HD, and it's one of those days. But yeah, so it makes a very pretty brown. So we're going to use that to start bringing up our leather. And the metal's going to be really interesting because the highlights are going to be on the steel. We're not really going to get a blend there. We can't actually blend our dark gray with our orangey yellow without making green, and that wouldn't be what it appeared as. So all of our highlights on the steel are just going to be our light color, nothing else. But we'll get to that. So I need to look again. I can see one side of the belt. There it is. More or less. So I'm going to pop my first highlight on that. But there's a little bit of light blocking here. No, actually there's not. It mostly hits. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead with this then. You do sometimes have to kind of fudge it on 28mm if there's an arm blocking the light, because although it's a lot easier to convey realistic shadows like that on like the shadow of an arm over something, it's a lot easier to convey that on a larger model. 28mm, it can be very difficult to convey that information in a way that makes sense to the viewer, because the model is so very small and it's not casting realistic shadows. We have to force it to appear that way. So there's our warmer brown. There's our colder brown. This is easy since our shadow line pretty much goes down the front of the model. It's pretty easy to just drop our highlight just on that side and not on the other, and it works out. We have this pouch though, and the pouch is under the arm, but it looks like the front would get hit by the fire, which is good, and the back would get a little bit hit, I think. Oh, nope, the back is entirely under that shoulder pad. See the shoulder pad right there? Yeah, that pouch is like way under there. So, okay, so the back is not going to get hit at all thanks to the shoulder pad, but the front of this will get hit, which is a relief. Even if it wasn't, even if I couldn't draw a straight line from the fire to the front of this pouch, I would probably still put a very tiny highlight on it. Otherwise, it would look weird. Because since the viewer, again, 28 millimeter, the viewer from the front is seeing the fire fall along the front of the model, and if this doesn't get a highlight, at least a tiny one, they're going to be like, And in truth, since the leather here and the metal here are going to be a bit reflective, there probably would be a bit of bounced light onto this pouch. So that's something you can fudge it on that, on 28s. The bigger the model, the less you can fudge, the more realistic a shadow and highlight is actually going to be falling on the model from just like the outside ambient light in the room. So the less you can get away with. But you can get away with a little bit of stuff on tiny models, especially if it seems to make sense to the viewer. So just applying that first highlight, leaving a shadow there. I do need my liner color, so I'm going to grab that. Yo, Valendar, what's up? We are highlighting our Mousling. David felt the highlights on the face needed to come out more, and we'll get there, but I wanted to get some of the rest of it blocked in. Mouslings are great to paint because they're so simple, and their details are large. They're very chibi. But I like the fact that their bodies are a little bit bigger than chibi. Like I get a little bit irritated with chibis because a lot of them, just the bodies are not very well done. And I think the Mouslings are big enough here. So I prefer this style, I think. Also, for those who dropped in late, I'm going to be taking Thursday off. I've got to do some post-marriage Social Security card application stuff since I decided to change a name. So I'm not telling you guys what I'm changing it to. So in California, it's interesting. You have all sorts of options. You can go back to your maiden name. You can go. You can change your middle name. You can hyphenate. You can do all sorts of crazy stuff. It's very interesting, but I need to go and update things, so. And sadly, you can't do anything else without a Social Security card, so I've got to get that done first. Alrighty, we've got the first highlight done then on that. Already stuff is starting to look more realistic, isn't it? Like you're starting to really see the light when you look at the model. And that really, when you turn it, as you turn it away from that light, you should see that the rest of the model is still in shadow. And then as you pull this way, you should see that everything is highlighted. So we also need to deal with the cape here, because if you look at the cape, you can see the cape, only a little bit of that first fold, see? But you can definitely see that second fold there. So we want to actually, while we've got our green, and now that I've touched up that little blorf, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to highlight this. But yeah, so stuff to do, no show Thursday. I feel bad about it, but I have to get stuff done, so just the way it is. And then at some point in the next 3 weeks from now, I'll have to take probably another day off to go and do my driver's license. You know, all that pain in the butt crap. All right, I'm actually going to mix a puddle of this green now. Now that I've arrived where I want to be with the green, I'm going to mix up a puddle of it right here. Puddle, puddle, puddle. There we go. Just so I can thin it down so I can blend it out. Since we're on a cape now, little touches aren't going to work anymore. I need to actually be using layering, so I need to thin it. I think I'm going to take Puppy for her first walk around, the real walk around the neighborhood today. We did little walks up and down our street, but I've never taken Puppy for like a walk really around the block, so to speak. The blocks are a little irregular here, so. But I think that is what I'm going to do for her today, instead of going and playing with our fishing pole. She's going to have a new thing. Oh, a little bit puddling. So when you see those puddles, you got too much paint. Yep, first proper walk. Yeah, very exciting. Probably nerve-wracking. But yes, it's been 6 days since she got her last vaccine, so I'm pretty sure she's immunized now, and I feel pretty confident that I can take her just about anywhere now. So yep, she gets to start learning about walks. So we're going to get just this bottom part of this cape there. I still need to blend it in a bit. I've got a little bit. Luckily, I can take my shadow color and kind of do a little bit of a wet blend if I want to do it quick. We'll see. She's uppity. I mean, I think it'll definitely stimulate her. Whether it overstimulates her, we'll see. But yeah, she's got to start learning, so we're gonna do it. She's old enough now. She's today's the 24th, right? In 3 days, she is officially 4 months. I mean, she hit 16 weeks. You know, a little bit of time ago, because of the way these are long months. But officially, at 4 months is when you start counting months instead of weeks. So. Oh, wow. Are you getting flooding in Ara? Any flash floods? I know that can happen when the ground is dry. Although I have noticed up here that the ground really slurps up water when we get rain. All right, let's see here. Yeah, so I was right to highlight that little inner fold, but not a lot more. Bring this up a little bit more. Need to be able to see the color coming up. Everything here stays. Yeah, because everything back there is behind the ear. Yeah, so you can only see this part of the cape. Now here, this might actually be hidden under the ear, but when you're looking at the back of the figure, it looks like the light would affect it. So this is one of those cases where you can fudge it and just say, hey, I'm going to paint this as if the light is hitting it, because that's what the viewer is going to expect. So it can be also about viewer expectations. Oh, in the low parts of town. Got it. I know in Texas we had a lot of clay, and so when we got lots of water, it just bounced right off the ground and just flooded everywhere. North Texas. But here in California, yeah, like I can go out and dump an entire, at the end of the night, I dump Kiki's water bucket out onto the plants, since we're in a drought, so we're not supposed to water very much, but since it's wastewater, I don't feel bad about it. But I can dump Kiki's gallon bucket onto the maple tree, and the ground just slurps it up. Yeah. That makes it feel like winter, doesn't it, Kuro? Like that's my thing, because of course I grew up in Wisconsin, and we get a lot of overcast in the winter. And there would definitely be those days where you just turn on the lights and they don't go off till bedtime. Man, I had a lot of seasonal depressive disorder when I lived there. I didn't know that I could take vitamin D to help with it at that point. I only learned that in Texas. There we go, a little bit of light. Need a little bit more shadow over here. As I highlight, there will also be areas where I'll see, oh, this doesn't make sense to have light here. I really need a little bit more shadow, like up on this area. So I'll pop a little bit of my shadow into some green and put that up there. And you should follow your gut on this. Like you're your brain will understand because it's spent its life looking at, you know, things in the dark and the light. But your brain understands, like, whether there should be a highlight, or if there's a highlight which doesn't make sense, your brain's probably picking up on it. And if not, just kind of like take some logical. Like I said, that's why I use the fire. You can see very much that the fire is not hitting the far side of this cape. So if you notice that there's an area on the cape that looks like a highlight, that are like too much like a highlight, too similar to the highlights here, then you should knock it down. Yeah, I felt like that in Wisconsin. I feel like we maybe got 2 weeks of fall and then it was done. And Texas, it was just like summer, 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 well, winter. A freeze would come in and all the trees would drop their leaves, but they wouldn't change colors. They would just get killed. I hated that about Texas. Like, that happened way too often. That's why all my bonsai trees died, and I was traumatized, so I still haven't started my bonsai hobby back up. Even though now in this climate, it's perfect. Like, this is bonsai, like, territory, and I really should pick it up again. Alrighty. And that's not going to happen. Alright, cool. Excelente. So let's keep going with our brown then. We're going to bring up our harvest brown more. Although I'm probably going to start with this mix and I'm going to add the yellow into it rather than going straight up to harvest brown. Since my base coat was walnut, I'm going to move up from the walnut mixed with the harvest. Hey Daffodil, how's it going? Yeah, that's pretty much how it felt in Texas sometimes. So adding yellow to this brown is really gonna make it like pop out. Whoa, there it goes. Like really lightens it up a lot because there is white in it since I put white in it. So that's why it's impacting this. There is very little or no white in harvest brown, and so when you add white to a color that doesn't otherwise have it, you'll notice this huge shift. There's nothing wrong and you didn't add too much. It's just the way that white will affect a translucent color when it doesn't, you know, when it's added. It is a very large shift if you add a significant amount at all. But you can add little tiny amounts without shifting the color too much, but it has to stay small. Aw. Well, that's nice of you and Carnico to let little kitty just kind of be there. Oh, yeah, itchy eyes, teary eyes, definite allergies this morning. But yes, I've been telling myself I don't need to restart my bonsai hobby because I have a Japanese maple that's actually growing in the ground. I can just play with that one. But at some point, maybe I'll give in. Alright, so I'm going to kind of do a mix of these since I did get such an extreme color shift when I added white. I'm going to do kind of a halfway and see how this looks. Now, if I want this to appear shiny, I'm going to keep that kind of in a line down the middle. Whereas if I want it to appear more of a dull leather, then I will I'll do broad highlight. I'm kind of looking at it and figuring out which one I want to do. I'm going to hit the belt pouch too. Ooh, third quarterly contest here. Yeah, I hate that when it's dark when you get up. Right. Yeah, that sucks, Quinny. Yeah, the puppy is very, she's actually, since we have, like, really thick curtains, she's usually pretty good, but once David gets up, it's on. Once he gets up to use the shower, then she starts fussing. Then she knows it's almost time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's November 4th, isn't it? I think daylight savings here is late this year. I'll let somebody else look it up. I don't need to look it up. So I'm just going to pick up some little touches of highlight on this pouch. Yeah, I hate the daylight savings. I like having light later in the day. I'm probably going to have to start taking out the pupper earlier and not waiting until David gets home because it's just going to be too dark. Very nice, Oramel. November 6th. Okay. 6th in the US. So even later. That's right, the 4th is a Friday. That's right. I had forgotten. And I shouldn't forget because that's Overwatch League Grand Finals. But yeah, so time changes are coming, sadly. Sadly, the House did not. The government needs to just like, the states too need to be just like, come on, enough. Please, please. I guess that the biggest bar to standardizing, to dropping daylight savings is actually like the medical professionals who have those hours, those really wonky hours. They want it one way and other people want it a different way, and like, you know, which one do you keep? So I don't know that they'll ever take daylight savings away from us. All right, so a little bit of light here. Yeah, but where do you stop it, Pendrake? Do you stop it where it is now, or do you stop it in the wintertime? Like, you know, like there are people who would argue for both. You know, like there are people on both sides who would be impacted by a change like that. So, I mean, given once it's done, everybody acclimates and then they just grouse like we grouse now about it. But oh no, well, have fun, Gibson. Hey there, lady. Yeah, we're highlighting Mousling. Highlighting Mousling today, bringing in more of his light. I'm doing the leather. For those who just showed up, I'm going to take Thursday off to do post-wedding legal stuff. But I will be here tomorrow and the next day, painting on stuff. I'm excited to blend that in just a little bit more. But we're in the northern hemisphere. It's never straight overhead. I'm totally griefing you. I'm sorry. Totally trolling. But I get what you're saying. A little bit of yeah, I'm with you, Dogfather. That's what I would choose too. Yes, people can adapt, so people need to chill. Well, you know what? And that is the world. That is the answer to the world right now. It's true of so many things. People can adapt, so people just need to chill. Like, you could say that about almost anything in the world. Yes, yes, exactly. The world would be a better place if everybody would just chill. Exactly. Right, yeah. See, that's it. And that's the problem with daylight savings time, is it screws with people biologically. It's not just a political or a social thing or a preference due to your job. It actually affects your health. And that's why I think it's like being somebody who did suffer from seasonal depressive disorder in Wisconsin. Here it's better because it's so much sunnier. A little bit more highlight there. Yeah, it's annoying. I agree. I'm with y'all. Would vote to stabilize for sure. I think it's Arizona. There are a couple states that don't have daylight savings, and Arizona is one of them. My parents winter in Arizona, so they, lucky dogs, don't have to do the time change. All right, now I want to bring up this color a little bit more here. So I think I'm not going to make this leather truly shiny. Oh, nice, Quinty. Good job, Discord bot. No. Yeah, no chime. Yeah, Julie and Bob have the logical, the thing we wish we all had. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of highlight. A little bit of highlight. So if I want the light to really show, then I have to put that yellow highlight down there, but I don't think I like it that much, so I think I'm going to do more dull. So I'm going to blend that in a little. Blend, blend, blend. Use previous highlight to blend in. I am in a baking mood too. There need to be cookies. All right, and a little bit of highlight here on the catch. There we are. I can also use this color on the wood of the torch. Although on the torch, it's so close up there that there's going to be a lot of this color. A lot of the fire color is going to be up there. So really almost you need to paint in a bit of color. Oh, you settle down, Papa. You got a half an hour yet. I may have to go put on her critical role. Although mostly I'll probably just leave her in there. She can hear me back here, so it's not like she knows, like she knows she's not alone, so she can deal. But if she keeps fussing, I'll go put... I didn't put on her critical role today. I wanted to kind of see how she did without it. So hopefully she just settles down to chew. All right, so then a little bit more of this color. And I'm just gonna keep kind of pick up the wood grain a little bit heading south from this. Uh-oh, somebody's all fussy. Part of the problem here is that last night she got out of her pen. Like, it wasn't pegged shut. I don't know whether I forgot to do it or David had outdone it, taken her out, or what, but she actually, like, just kind of walked out of her pen last night. She just pushed it open and went, oh. And then she went to find me. She's like, Daddy's boring. Where are you, Mom? I don't think they didn't bring it up. I don't think. But yeah. I'm sure that the fact that it is now looming will bring it back to the forefront of people's minds, and now there will be complaining at the government. Oh, I see, Shadow Raven. I got it. Yeah. Oh, dear. Alrighty. So a little bit of light. I need more on the back, but that out front here, it's actually reading okay. I need it to be a little lighter, I think. A little lighter right up at the top. So right again, wherever the light is. And I do want a little bit down here on the bottom. I have sad little noises coming from the other room. I think I am going to go turn on her critical role real quick because she's being a good girl right now. So hold on, guys. One sec. I'll be back. There we go. Sorry, pop-up break. Oh God, she'd eat it, Pendrake. She would eat a Roomba. Get on their walk on his own. Wow. Settle down, Pa. That's really funny. And he probably would have come back home after his walk, right? But still, that's scary. I don't think I could trust Kiki to keep to a route. Oh, dear. Just trying to get my hair on my face. All right. Let us continue. We are working on the wood. Boop. All right. We've got, this all looks pretty good, except I actually do have to tackle the shirt. And I'm wondering if I made it dark enough. Or if I need to, I probably am okay. I'm going to add some yellow. Need to look. Now here is something where the shirt really does not pick up the light until it gets here. So I probably want to use my yellow and just do a little touch and build from there. The effect of a yellow light on white is going to be to shift to yellow. All right, I'm going to actually, I'm going to darken down that color. I'm going to mix a quick off-white with some brown in it. going to use some Cairn Stone because it's actually close to the color I used for the white. Going to mix in a little bit of Rogue Shadow to gray it out. And to give me a color I can work with. There we go. So I've essentially mixed a gray. So that is the color I mixed. That was with Pathfinder Cairn Stone, which I chose because it had kind of a yellow hint to it. It was very close to the color that's already down there. Mixing in some of the Rogue Shadow to make it more gray. I wanted to go a little darker with the sleeve, I decided. A little darker. And I may put a tiny bit of highlight, even though technically there wouldn't be. Again, the viewer may expect a little bit of highlight on these folds. So it's legal. It's legal in your OSL to fulfill the expectations of the viewer. Like if it looks wrong to you, even though you know that pure like it is right because of the overhang of that shoulder pad, even though you know that logically it's right, if your gut says that it doesn't look right and there should be a highlight there, follow your gut. Again, these are very 28 millimeter, very exaggerated scale. So sometimes going with what you feel is going to give you a better result. That said, don't be blatant about it, or you'll shift to the other way where you're going to do something and then it really doesn't look right. It looks even less right. So do generally follow the rules of the road, in that your highlights should line up with your light source. So I can use this gray to actually mute out a little bit of this yellow if I decide it's a little bit too strong there. Trying to get it where I want it here. Hey now, obviously you need to watch the science of mouse guard, wherein they talk about, you know, having forged weapons and, you know, woven cloth with tiny mice, tiny sentient mice. It was on one of the online cons that David Peterson did for Mouse Guard during the pandemic. He actually brought somebody in to speak about the physics of tiny mice in armor. It was actually pretty awesome. Still my favorite segment. And Mouse Guard is a comic, by the way, for those of you who are not familiar with it. Alrighty. So that's looking pretty good actually. I think so. You need to keep the shadow under the hand here. Just a little bit of one. Lining is really good enough. So just make sure you don't lose it, because the hand would interrupt the light. So now I'm liking this whole section right here. I'm liking a lot. This is pretty much brought up to where it needs to be. Yep, David Peterson streams. And he has rated our stream before. And we have rated, I believe, I have rated him on Painting Big. I don't know if we have it here on Reaper. I think we have. But he's not normally on in the morning. It's usually on the afternoons, evenings. So I want to get this strap highlighted, and that definitely the edge is going to get hit with the torchlight. So I'm going to actually go and be pretty bold with this because it's getting closer to the torch here. So I can catch the edge. Don't want to go under the arm because obviously the light isn't going to hit there. That puppa, she really wants to go out. Little does she know what's in store for her today. All right, let's look at the back. Got armor, but the strap is under the arm back here, so it's not going to get hit. We already discussed that the pouch back here isn't going to get hit. We'll consider that with the ambient light source when we get to that. Now, one thing, let's see here. I think we're finally onto the metal. I think I have no choice but to start the metal at this point. And I do need to do the eyes as well. And I'm really going to use my light color to suggest she is going for her first real walk today. We are going to go around the neighborhood. Yeah, I really don't want to do the eyes because it's so allergy full here right now. My eyes are so teary that it's like going to be hard to hit that. Know your physical limitations and do not paint eyeballs when you when your eyes are tearing because you have your allergy reaction. Even though you took your Zyrtec last night. I'll try it though. Let's see. I want to pick up a little bit of the iris color. Just a little glimmer. And I want to do a highlight. But yeah, I'm going to take her on a walk around the block. So she's 6 days past her last vaccination, so she should have full immunity now. Let's see, I want to keep lights coming out from that direction. Probably going to be here. Probably going to be there. Pick up the light. But yes, we're going to go on a truck. So, all right. I think I was just using carbon gray for this gray. And I'm not really going to do any... What I am going to do is I'm going to mix up some pure explosion orange, actually, I think. I tend to like layering up with oranges first on top of grays. But yeah, the Keekster is going for a walk today. A real walk. Now I could consider making this shoulder pad a color, this interior bit. I think I am going to consider that. I might make it a red. It's only going to be visible on the back of the model, so I don't really have to worry about an overall color scheme effect with it. I could just do it. Otherwise, it would have to be green, but I don't think I want to. Well, there would be a little bit on this side, so I have to kind of think about that. I'm going to add red to the model, because this side is going to stay really dark, and this side it would only be on the back of the model. So that'd be a question mark whether you wanted to add an accent color on the interior of the shoulder pad. I didn't think about it at first. I was just going to do it all in metal. But we'll consider it. But yes, I want to take the Keekster, the little pupper, all the way around the block. And hopefully that will stimulate her little brain and make her a little tired out. And since you're never gonna be able to actually tire out a puppy physically, like just get that out of your head. That's what I was told, and I believe it. They're like little kids. But you can try them out mentally. So I'm going to start with some orange on the wrist here and kind of see how it goes. Explosion orange is one of my favorite oranges to start with as far as bringing up like lighting on metals, on gray or stone, metal or stone for steel. And as you can see, even though I've thinned it down, you can still see it. It's there. Now, this is one of those times where with NMM, we're not going to bring it all the way up to pure white. We're only going to bring it up as far as the lightest light color. Bringing it up to pure white when the white source isn't light doesn't make sense and will look odd. Once again, we're back to the viewer's expectation. A little bit more orange. Then I'm going to bring it up with the yellow. First with the orangey yellow, which actually I need to add a little water to at this late date. Or late hour, I should say. Right, crows. Because Twitch is ridiculous and does not have their stuff together. Now the yellow. So this is the Candlelight Plus Explosion 50/50 with a little bit of white added. And I do have to remember that's going to be up on top, but here I'm going to grab a little bit more explosion. I want to bring the orange in a little bit more. You are okay being late. Okay, you two. Since you just got in, this is my cue rather. I am taking Thursday off, just so you know. Need to finish some post-marriage document stuff, and was having trouble making room for it in my normal schedule, so I'm just going to take Thursday off so I can go in the morning and get her done. I will otherwise be here all of this week. So bringing in the light, the really light stuff. Now, tricky part here is under reflections. You got to keep them tamed pretty well. I'm going to use the orange, explosion orange. Yeah. A lot of times I find, at least with my Gmail, it goes to my other folders. So just a little bit of under reflection here, because you do need that. And since this is the area where the firelight's going to be bouncing off of the flagstones and stuff, you can get away with it. Yeah, I miss them constantly. There we go. It's still not quite bright enough, so I'm going to bring in just a little more yellow. Got to be able to show up. That's pretty okay. It's not bad. But yeah, so things march on, and slowly we get our post-marriage life organized. Set up our First joint account. Actually, the first joint account I've had in all of my life. I didn't have one in my last marriage. But it makes sense in this one to do it for household expenses. So yeah, we did that on Saturday. Just trying to get a little bit of shadow in here. Yeah, my past marriage, just the way that we operated, I kept all my finances separate, Red Links, and but here I do actually handle a large amount of our household expenses as far as like just groceries, upkeep, house supplies, stuff like that. So it made sense to have a combined account. And then we can put things like our pest control and stuff in that too. So yeah, just made more sense with this one. And the dog expenses. Well, the majority of our finances are all still separate, though. I mean, it's true. It's a trust thing, but I don't think that I didn't necessarily trust my ex. I mean, yeah, we're divorced, but that wasn't the reason. Financial autonomy has always been really important to me. And so I wasn't comfortable with it. I just didn't want it. I've become, I don't define myself as much by that anymore, I guess is the way to put it. But I struggled financially for so very long that at that time of my life, financial autonomy was very, very important to me. So at this time in my life, thanks to you guys on the Patreon and everything, I feel very stable, and so I'm no longer so kind of focused on that, I guess. Yay, personal growth. Yeah. Working on it, and we're getting the light in. Yeah. Thanks for the shout out, Quindy. Yeah, we don't do everything combined. I would not be comfortable with that. I know that. I don't think David would be comfortable with that either. So we have like just one. We did agree that one combined household account made sense. But otherwise, I like to kind of keep track of my own stuff, and he likes to keep track of his stuff. So. And for me, especially because I'm with the solo proprietor thing and the fact that I'm self-employed. Having everything else separate is really necessary for me because it's how I track everything for like my business. So really didn't make sense. We're kind of discussing how we're going to do taxes. That'll be fun. But yeah, with being self-employed, it made a lot more sense to keep stuff separate. Because I do pretty much, I rely on, for one thing, our bookkeeping styles are very different. Like, David likes to have everything kind of funneled into a main account, and I have a lot of accounts that I'm split out. I don't think there's a face of the flame. I mean, you could paint it that way, but there's not really one sculpted. Yeah, everybody's different. Like if our financial styles and incomes were very similar, and if I was also working, a job that was employed rather than self-employed, I think maybe it would make a little more sense. But I really I have a separate account for taxes. I have a separate account for paying myself. I have a separate account for expenses, for business expenses, right? I have a separate account that I put money away in for vacation. David doesn't like all that. He doesn't believe in all that. So it's like, yeah, our financial styles are really separate. So he would rather have it all in one place and just kind of keep track of what he's spending on what. So he does more of a spreadsheet thing, and I've never like been good about updating spreadsheet things, so I go for the separate accounts where I can see at a glance where I am. Everybody's different. It just comes down to everybody's different. We always come back to that in this show, right? Oh, the pupper is so upset. She's like, I don't care that you gave me Critical Role. I'm going to get out of this crate. I can do it. I know I can. If I just pound on it enough. But she's got to wait for 5 more minutes. Right, exactly. Twisted Oma. It's not really. They're just swooshes of flame. They're not even the same size. But you could paint it that way if you wanted to. Hey, Twisted Oma, I won't be here Thursday, just so you know. I've got to do more government office marriage crap. So I'm going to take off on Thursday, but I'll be here all the rest of the week. Just FYI, since you're a regular, I wanted to mention that again. A lot of people coming in late today. It's okay. We won't begrudge you. You have schedules and lives too. All right. Just kind of touching up. I want to make the leather a little bit more yellowy. That's reading pretty well. We'll see. This shoulder blade is so chunky. I'm just kind of looking at it, but none of that shadow area is really going to show up. So I kind of have to take my yellow and edge highlight it. Yeah, a little edge highlight. This makes sense. That might make sense. Oh, need a little bit thicker paint, but then that, yeah, I'm going to have to fade that in. Kind of messing around. I've got a little bit of reflected light that I can pick up there, though. The fact that the shirt is a light color and it's right up against the bottom part of this thick plate means that I can get away with a little bit of reflected light right here. I don't want to make it too strong, though. That was a little bit too much, so I pulled it off. Okay. There we go. That's a little better. And when I take that out, there we go. That's better. So again, sometimes you have to fudge a little bit to bring out details at this scale. But as long as you keep consistent with using your highlight, your light color as your highlight, you should be okay. Alrighty. We're going to have a really strong highlight back here. We're almost out of time, though. Hello, bonjour, bonjour, Baldur. We're almost done with our stream today. I was just going to map in a little bit of the highlight I would put here from the torch. It would be quite a strong one because this is metal. So we have to really carry that highlight, make sure that it's very, very visible. And here I'm just building it up. Notice I haven't put just a big blob of yellow on there. I'm building up the color. And I need to make sure it's there too. And I'll do that if I'm like kind of feeling my way, trying to figure out how I want to do something. So let's add a little bit more yellow now. More fire color. Get a little bit of a shadow under there. Blocking in, going to do more blending in a bit. Kiki is squeaking her toy. She's like, Mom, I'm going to squeak this toy really loud until you come and rescue me. It's a very silly puppy back there in the other room. Just kind of doing a little wet blend here. Did a little edge highlighting there, but I'm going to fade it out just a tad, and I'm going to bring in more light on the top of the shoulder. No, it's NMM. Oh, that's right, I was going to go with metallics, wasn't I? I totally forgot. Well, it's a little late now, isn't it? Not really late, but it is too late to do it now. Because we're at the end of the stream. But I totally forgot. Yeah, with OSL, with the lighting effect, it's you do need to shift the color of the thing underneath with the light. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you like it, Bellador. Just remember, if you do lighting effects, Valador, and if your light is a color, not just white, like like daylight, then yeah, the way I've been working this is I chose what color everything was, but then I mixed everything away from the light with my shadow color, which is the kind of the opposite of my light color, and I mixed all of my green. My actual green is actually this color, but it's either shifting towards shadow or highlight, so you never actually see that local color. It's always just mixed into the highlight color to get these lighter highlights here. So, and the fur is auburn, but it's auburn mixed with this color, and it'll get brighter and brighter as I bring up the light. So yeah, so essentially you can do this even if you're colorblind. It's just keeping track of like where your highlights are, and choosing colors. What helps is choosing colors that go well with your light source. So here I very much chose the reddish fur and the greenish leather and cloth because I knew that it would highlight well with a yellow light source. So even a yellow-orange is technically what it is. So yeah, so that way if you do that, you know you're going to be pretty safe. Whereas if I had tried to like choose a purple or blue, my light source would gray that color out a lot because it's complementary. My blue would go very greenish, and my purple would really go gray with the yellow. So yeah, when you do this, it does help if you choose colors that are good. I have another example that this is something I painted in a class really quick because my husband, my now husband, as of this past weekend or last weekend, he's very good at OSL and he teaches a class in it. So this is one I did very quickly, like an hour and 15 minutes in his class. And it's the same thing, is red is highlighted very well with yellow-orange, so you can highlight it up to orange. Same with the pink in the ears. Thanks guys. Yeah, we are official now. But yeah, the green, of course, highlights really well with that. The gray, you can see how I've used orange here also to pick that up with the NMM. And the browns also are yellowy browns, and so they work really well highlighted with this. So yeah, so choosing colors that will highlight well with your light source is a good thing. I mean, you can definitely choose colors that don't. You can choose purple. And what will happen then is it will bleach out. So this I made this light source very, very bright, but her technically her wrap is purple, but wherever the orange, the yellow-orange light and the purple, you can see it's gone gray. So I only get the sense of the purple with kind of the undercolor where the blue underlight is coming in. You can see that the undershadow is blue and blue there, and so that gives you a sense of the purpleness. So yeah, so that's what you want to do with purple, is usually have a secondary kind of reflected light that's cool. Not sure, I didn't finish mine, just I don't know the plants on her. I haven't done the plant life. But I kept her because I really liked her. So, and if I do ever teach OSL, she'll be a good example. But yeah, so if you choose a color that is a complementary color to your light source, be ready for it to change a lot when you highlight it with this. And you, in order to keep kind of the idea of it, you may find it good to introduce a secondary light source. There will be a secondary light source on this piece. I'm just not there yet. I want to get the warm light really nailed before I go for the cold light on this side of the piece. So, but yeah. So far he's coming along really well. Thanks for the reminder, Agent Marvel. I really did want to do metallics on this one. So I'm going to have to stop and think about that and how I'm going to do it. All right. Okie dokie, folks. So I'm going to be on tomorrow, and we are going to be painting. Let's see, we're skipping all of our elemental scions and doing just spooky stuff for the end of October. So we are back to Vampire Dude. Back to Vampire Dude. Probably will do his fur tomorrow and start on the black. Maybe start on the red cape, because I want to make sure the red cape works with his skin and his stuff. So we're back to Vampire Man, back to Blood Wolf. Newbie, okay. Oh, okay. No, that's good, Balladur. So these are Reaper miniatures, and I'm a Reaper employee. And so these are technically, what Reaper does is mostly gaming figures for Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games. Sorry for my puppy. She's like, it's time. Kiki, I'll be right there. But yeah, so these are mostly used for role-playing games, for tabletop role-playing. Some people also use them for like Warhammer if they play at home, like, and they don't have to use actual Games Workshop models. Some people use them for that. Kiki, enough. But yeah, so that's mostly, but I also, a lot of people on this channel, and I know for me, I paint for display, so I'm just painting just because I love to paint. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. Kiki did not authorize this over time. Yeah, so what I do is I mostly teach techniques on this. So I'm the person who created Reaper's paint line. So I talk a lot about Master Series paint and like what's in the particular colors and what kind of qualities they have, and how to mix with them and stuff like that. This model is definitely about how to do other source lighting, object source lighting, where you've got a light source that you're trying to bring up that creates the illusion that that's the main light source on the model. But like for this guy, I'm mostly doing just like, I'll be doing like black armor and red cloth on him, stuff like that. Yeah, I do it every weekday. I'm going to be off this Thursday. I've got stuff to take care of post-marriage, but yeah, I'm on every weekday except for holidays and, for the most part, and we get on at 11:30 USA Central Standard Time. So yeah, the morning in America, late morning in America is when I'm on. Yeah, so yeah, come on back. And then if you have questions, I also, the other thing we do here at Balladur is because I've got, I hesitate to say, about 30 years of painting experience now. I answer a lot of questions, and it can be a beginner question or an advanced question. I don't care, anywhere in between. If you got it, I can answer it. Both paint chemistry and actual painting technique and palettes and brushes and lighting, you name it, I can answer it. Or at least I can answer it from my perspective, and I can usually also tell you what a few of my painter friends have said as well. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, welcome. All right, guys, that's what we're up for, and my dog is like, so I'm going to go and let her out. I hope you all have a great, is it Rhonda Day today? Yeah, we got married Last weekend? Oh, man. Yeah, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. Yes, yes. Now I am officially married. And we're both mini painters, Balador. Rhonda at 2 p.m. Central. All right, so you guys be back for Rhonda's show, and I will see you tomorrow morning. All right, have a great one, everybody. Bye-bye.